So I've been asked to come here and speak to operator channels and how, if you're a game developer, this is a channel that you can't ignore. So if you're not familiar with operators, you probably are and you just didn't know it. Operators are everybody who you buy your cell phone service through. Before there were smartphones, everybody had crappy Nokias and crappy Motorola's, and all of the revenue went through these operators. If you don't know, this is the growth rate of mobile. It's going up, hence you all being here. If it was going the other direction, we'd all be looking for new jobs right now. Some of the key stats to take away from this, games are doing incredibly well on tablets. They monetize very, very well, and people play for long periods of time. The other piece to notice, games represent a large portion of app revenue. So almost 3/4 of app revenue is coming from 40% of your downloads. What does that mean to you? If you're not making a game, you want to make some money, it might not be a bad idea. The last piece, tablet games. We see tablet games going to keep growing. They're at 400% annual growth rate. We can see that going to continue that rate for quite some time as tablets become more and more kind of standard and PCs become less and less. Free to play. Once again, if you don't know what free to play is, please come see me afterwards and I'll probably hit you in the head with a hammer. Free to play is where you don't pay anything to get people to download your content, and then you try and make money either through ads, through in-app purchase, some way of driving revenue after the initial purchase has been made, the initial download has been made. I like to call this the drug dealer mentality. The first one is free, the second one's going to cost you. Once you get hooked, you want to then go in and try and make some money off people. As you can see, free-to-play is growing extremely fast. It was at 89% in January. Not even a year later, you're up to 98% of your revenue. Unbelievably fast. Everybody wants to do free-to-play. Once again, if you haven't seen this chart, you should be looking at where your growth is coming from. Out of Asia, the revenue coming out of Asia is almost equal to almost everywhere else on the planet. If you don't know about China, Japan, Korea, South Korea, they spend a lot of money and they do it with a lot of players. Once again, take a look at your ARPU. My guess is if you're on Google Play, you can look at it, and you'll probably see that these regions are probably already reflected, even though you probably do very little user acquisition or targeting to those regions. So what does that mean for carriers? Carriers traditionally have done a very poor job of actually going out and marketing their services. They owned these services out of the box originally. You went and you bought a phone from the store. You had their distribution on the handset. They own this out of the box relationship. They own what the handset looks like. They own what the handset looks like, what comes preloaded on it, with the exception of Apple. Apple's the only kind of wild card in here. Android, and then going back to feature phones. When the iOS world and the Android came world, the carriers were unprepared for this. They lost a huge amount of revenue, so ringtone downloads, game downloads, wallpaper downloads. We kind of conservatively put it about $2 billion. If you're a very large company seeing your growth rate kind of going up and then all of a sudden go straight down to the tune of $2 billion, that hurts. These operators are also now trying to compete with Apple and Google as far as getting in front of the subscribers. So what are these carriers doing to avoid becoming a big, dumb data pipe? How are they changing fast enough? Internally, if you've ever worked with an operator, extremely slow to do anything. Whereas you and I can sign a contract in under a week, it takes 18 months to do a deal with an operator. Just so many loopholes, so many red tape, so many hoops to jump through. This creates an enormous problem with them being agile. One example that was very easy to find was, this is an example of what a game store or a news application may look like. This is dated 2003. I was able to find this exact same listing still being used on a Java handset today. It's kind of scary. On the right, you can see what like an iPad app looks like. A lot more graphics, very rich, very easy for people to go around and find, and frankly, it just looks nicer and plays nicer. So what does this mean to you as a game provider? Playphone is coming in and working with these operators as a third party that can move very agile, move very quick, and we're providing a game store to them that's getting around a lot of the clutter. So you're not going to be dealing with 600,000 apps on Google Play. You're going to be dealing with a Verizon store that has 300 games. Let's see here. Where do we go? Lost my train of thought there. There we go. One of the other things about this store is you're not going to see the same games over and over. You're not going to see Tetris being the same top spot every time, because one of the features of our store is it's being driven by a recommendation engine. So as the store becomes social, you go in, you download a game, we connect through Facebook, we connect through a social media, we can connect, see who your friends are, we can see what games they're playing. We use that to surface content for you. So for example, if you're downloading racing games, your friends like racing games, we're going to show you racing games. If you like casual games, we're going to highlight casual games and show those to you. The whole idea is we want to show the end user content that they're going to purchase. It doesn't make sense for me to show a casual game player Clash of Clans, because they're just not going to download. And even if they do download it, they're not going to stick around. The last piece with this is working with Operator, we do have access to carrier billing, so operator billing, one-click operator billing. Right now on Google Play, you purchase something, when the monetization event comes up, users driven out of your content back to Google Play to complete the transaction, whether that means a username or a password or worse, a credit card number. What we're seeing is every time you're asking a user to make a input, you're losing about 30% per screen. If you're asking for a 16-digit number, you can imagine what that does to your conversion rate as a game developer. What we offer is a one-click purchase. A window pops open in the game. User says, yes, I accept the 99-cent charge. They're done. We know that their account's in good standing. We know that they're able to purchase because we have their account on file through the store. Very easy for us to click through. The key piece of this is most important outside of areas such as Europe, Germany, the US, or Canada. When we move into areas such as India, Indonesia, areas where there's a large population but a very low credit card penetration. India, Indonesia, for example, have typically about a 2% credit card penetration, and that's even skewed because most people that have a credit card have more than one. Without carrier billing, those users can't be monetized. This is one example of what our solution looks like. We skin it up a little bit different for each operator as they kind of want it to be customized. Once again, all the social features are already built in. So things like recommendations. One of the earlier speakers spoke to the idea of using Twitter, using Facebook to socialize your games without requiring the users to stop and make a share event. One of the things that we do is if you set up an achievement through our system, anytime they get an achievement, we automatically post that up to their social media for them. It's not something they have to do. We call it a brag. The idea is let's use traffic that they don't have to manually go do, but that will drive in organic growth. This is the conversion rate that we're seeing thus far on kind of an apples-to-apples comparison. We have a developer that has their games up in Google Play, as well as in the Verizon store that was most recently launched. As you can see, even though the Google Play price is considerably lower, we're still getting a much higher conversion rate just because of, A, the app is preloaded, doesn't require the user to go out and find it, and the conversion from a free user to a paid user is so much easier. All they're doing is clicking yes versus going in, entering a username or a password. Last piece that I wanted to cover is we've actually gone out and done a fairly healthy survey. We wanted to kind of see, everybody kind of knows the numbers, the metrics that we get from Facebook as far as females being slightly more into casual games versus males, or how long are their play sessions. So we actually went out and did, this is just covering the US, we're expanding this into Europe here shortly. but we wanted to see kind of what does it look like today? What does the landscape look like today? And some of it was fairly shocking. I was surprised by it. Females are starting to take over in casual games. When we did this study about a year and a half ago, it was almost 50-50. Now it's almost 70-30. 1/3 of these people are playing every day, and they describe themselves as somewhat addicted. When I went over this with my wife, she laughed because she said, no housewife on earth is going to say that she's very addicted to playing a mobile game. So I think this number is actually a little bit low. And as you can see, 33% spent between 1 and 2 hours playing games. And actually what we've discovered is they're playing either in bed or on the couch. So good information if you're building a casual game, especially for a tablet. What else did we learn? These people don't like to spend more than $5 US a month on your game. So if you're going to build a subscription, keep your price at $4.99. If you're going to be building it at 99 cents, be sure to price accordingly for your packs. Things such as doing 99 cents for one power-up or $4.99 for a pack of 10 might suit you very well. And the last piece that we've discovered, and we're actually adjusting some of the stuff that we're doing with the operators, is game ratings aren't really that accurate. If you look, most are either going to be 1-star or 5-star, which it's not accurate. It doesn't tell you anything. That just tells you either they really didn't like the game or they really liked the game. That doesn't tell you what they liked about it, what they didn't like about it. Did they find it sticky? Did they find it fun? Were the controls frustrating? So one of the things that we're doing with operators coming shortly is adjusting those, moving away from stars and moving more towards ratings such as controls were bad. Something that will give the developer to give you the feedback, oh, this is what my audience doesn't like. Instead of you getting 100 1-star reviews, you're going to get 50. The controls weren't good. The levels were too difficult. I fell off too quickly. So meaningful results. So as I mentioned, we're live with a number of operators globally. We'll have some additional announcements coming shortly as far as different regions that we're covering. One of the big advantages of working with these operators is these guys have money to spend on marketing. So I have an example that I can show for one of the things that Singtel recently has done in Asia to give you an idea of kind of the presentation and the marketing budget that they're spending to promote your content. See if we can get this to play. Nope.
We are taking your mobile gaming experience to a whole new level. WePlay personalizes your gaming experience, brings you a wide selection of new games, connects you to a global network, and lets you brag your highest scores to your friends. Make game purchases with Singtel. Download WePlay now to discover and play games together.
One of the things that you saw there at the very end is we actually have a virtual currency that runs across multiple stores. Singtel chose to give away a large amount of, it was 500 virtual units as the initial giveaway. There's another reason that carriers are trying to push this game service over at Google Play or versus an Apple iOS. They're actually able to capture this revenue, so it's in their best interest to drive users to use this. Any questions?
Thank you, Scott. Anyone who lived through the bad old days of mobile game development, and I really wish this weren't true, but in a lot of cases it was awesome to have your game on the deck. To get your game on the deck could mean the difference between total bankruptcy and wild success. To get your game on the deck, you had to know the right guy at either the handset manufacturer or the operator/carrier, and you had to have an excellent Coke dealer, and you had to be able to put those two people together. There was a lot of shadiness going on. Who makes the decision as to what goes on these decks?
So depending on the operator, we either help facilitate a direct relationship between the game developer and the operator themselves. So in the case of Verizon or Singtel, we actually help you guys sign a direct agreement. It's a click-through agreement with the operator. We make that introduction for you so you can go and pester those people yourselves. For other carriers, they've chosen to have Playphone as act as the intermediate, so you'd be bothering us directly.
So send the 8 balls to you.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for Scott? Lots of questions.
So I think it's just for Android apps and Android devices, your solution?
Our solution works right now. It's limited to Android native as well as HTML5.
Okay, thank you.
And so basically just like developing another build for Amazon.
It's very similar, yeah. The SDK that we have, the billing call itself is a generic call. So you, correct. You
just the billing layer you have to change.
Correct, yeah. The billing call itself is generic. So you do the integration once, and then depending on where the build is deployed, it uses the correct operator billing. You don't have to do multiple builds for each operator.
Same for leaderboards and stuff like that.
I beg your pardon?
Same for leaderboards and other features you were mentioning.
Correct. Yeah, it's a integrate once, deploy multiple places.
And last one, so if we just go direct with you without contracting with Verizon and the other one, how many players we cover?
We can. So a lot of that stuff is not ours to share. It's carrier data, but I'd be happy to walk you through as much as I can.
Right. So 2 questions, please. One is how many downloads and or installs and how many active users you currently have?
I'd be happy to walk you through that. It's not ours to share for the most part.
Okay.
It's operator data.
And the second one is who dictates the featuring? Which games will be featured and promoted on each of your Playphone app stores?
So depending on the carrier, so in the case of Verizon or Singtel, like I said, we actually put you directly in touch with those operators, and you share the game with them, and they go through and vet your title. For other carriers that we work with, so a Sprint or moving down to Latin America, our team actually goes through and plays the games, and then kind of the best games we feature.
What's the revenue sharing model as opposed to 70-30?
For the most part, we try and get as close to 70-30 as we can. Moving to different regions, Latin America, for example, is notoriously hard on developers. We do our best to get as close to 70-30 as we can.
And is there a restriction on the countries of the developers?
What do you mean?
For example, Google Play doesn't pay to all of the countries in the world?
No, so our solution is totally independent of Google Play. So we host all the content.
Yeah. Like that, for example, do you pay to all the countries or?
No. So right now, the regions that we support are Canada, United States, Latin America, Asia, as well as Singapore. We'll have some additional carriers to announce shortly.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Scott. Let's hear it again for Scott.